Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Mattel Jurassic World Chaos Theory release. And as you can see, it's another of these very interesting, more stylized dinosaurs, almost giving you like that baby version. But we've got ourselves the Mega Roar Allosaurus. And this guy looks pretty fun, pretty adorable, also has a very cool look there with the eye, almost giving you that kind of blind eye sort of look. The way that you see it again in Chaos Theory, which I do really quite like, something we haven't seen on any of the mainline figures so far. But you can see the figure as a whole looks pretty much as you would expect it to look when it comes to this type of figure. You can see that we have pretty much the standard when it comes to your Chaos Theory packaging. You've also got a little piece of meat or like steak or something over there to feed the Allosaurus. And then once we turn the Allosaurus around, you can see on the back it kind of shows off the fact that the Allosaurus makes noises and apparently will eat and burp when eating the meat and stuff. So let's go ahead, pop this out of the box and check it out. So here is our Allosaurus, and now once you take a look at it from the opposing side, you can very clearly see that we've got ourselves a normal eye on this side, and then once you turn it around, you now have that blind eye on the other side. So definitely very nicely done on the part of Mattel when it comes to actually capturing that aspect of the Allosaurus. And you also, of course, have that piece of meat that my camera won't focus on. There we go. And again, it's the first time that I've actually seen them get that correct when it comes to this. You know, like it wasn't the case with the Super Colossal or anything. They just basically gave the Super Colossal regular eyes. So it is really cool to see this one actually stylized after the Chaos Theory version. So as always, let's go ahead and jump to a closer look and we'll check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Allosaurus, you can see he looks pretty cute, pretty decently sculpted out overall. Like the scale detail here on the lower jaw looks really good. You've got all sorts of varying sizes to the scales and even these larger kind of bumpy armored sort of scales picking up here and there. Same thing as you move up here in toward the eye socket. You can see the detail is a little muted up here compared to what I'm used to when it comes to Mattel, but not too bad. The eye is also painted on this side with kind of like a yellowish, sort of almost like a mustardy color, and then you've got a black pupil. You can also see the nostrils sculpted out up there. We have like this greenish brown sort of tone for the lower jaw and part of the upper jaw, but then you have this darker blue that sort of patterns down through the course of the face. You do, of course, have your classic Allosaurus crests up there on the top of the head, and then as you turn the figure over here to the other side, you can now see again that kind of blind sort of eye that we've got going on here, as well as some scars on the face. You've got 3 right here moving through the palate area, and then also another one there kind of leading out over the eye that kind of starts above the eye and then leads down, which is probably why our Allosaurus's eye looks the way it does. And again, the nostrils and everything over here, you've got the same type of sculpt and detail overall on one side compared to the other. And then, of course, you do have an articulated jaw. You can see the teeth actually look pretty darn nice. Shockingly nicely done, because when we had that recent RC T-Rex, the teeth were still rounded out and very old Mattel-like, but this time we have much better looking teeth, much sharper looking teeth, even some nice detail within the teeth. If you could see the light hitting it there, you can kind of see like some slight detail added to the teeth. They also again are kind of a softer material and have a genuine sharp look to them, which is a huge plus for this figure. And then once you open the inside of the mouth, you can see you've got like a darker sort of a pinkish tone there on the inside of the mouth. You've also got again a bit of a gloss coat. The entire inside of the mouth is painted, and I can see the tongue looks like it moves, and I think that's because that's where you put the steak, and then the dinosaur chomps down on the steak, and that's going to move the tongue a little bit, but it's also going to set off the noises and action features and stuff. And just like with the, was it Velociraptor Blue, I believe? You can see how wide open the mouth can get when it comes to this figure and how the skin stretches, so it has that crazy look to the face once you do that. As you move down along the back of the neck, you can see that kind of armored sort of a scoop-like look to the back of the Allosaurus, which is exactly how you do see the Allosaurus portrayed in the Jurassic franchise, at least as far as the adults go. What's interesting is some areas, starting right around here, it's actually kind of like a softer rubber reel feel when it comes to the armored scoots moving down the back, and it is the same thing as you move through the entire figure all the way out here toward the tail. It's all kind of like a rubber reel feel up there, and then a harder plastic for the rest of the body. So that's pretty interesting. But as you move down through, you can see the blue continues to run along the top of the dinosaur, this darker tone moving along the lower part. The scale detail continues to look quite nice as you lead down into the arms. You can see the arms are articulated. They can move forward and back. And kind of felt like they could move out away from the body. They sort of do because they're actually very flexible and rubbery, but they don't really do that, I don't think, now. But they do move pretty nicely, and you can see they're very scrawny and awkward looking, but when it comes to this style figure, you always have wonky proportions that give it kind of a baby-like look, but also a very stylized look. As you move down into the hands, you again can see that you've got scoots moving down the fingers. The nails are sculpted pretty decently, but not painted, unfortunately. As you move back here into the thigh, you can see we've got some muscle definition displayed. You can also see we have the blue leading down here into the thigh a little bit, but breaking up as you head toward the knee. We have some more of those larger kind of armored type scales. As you move down, you've got the calf muscle defined as well, and then you lead down into these absolutely gigantic feet, again giving it that sort of baby-like look, but also a very, very exaggerated look. You've got the scoots moving down the toes. You can also see the nails are painted with a dark blue, like a dark bluish gray, and shockingly don't include a gloss coat. They don't really look shiny or anything. We do have dew claws, but as per usual, they are not painted. And then as you move back up, you can see the blue continues to lead out, but as you lead out into the tail, it cuts off, but it does, capture most of the tail, honestly. And then you have this little tiny section out here on the tip of the tail that doesn't have it, and that can actually swivel randomly. I don't know why, but they chose to give it a little bit of a swivel action out there. And then on the underside, we just super randomly have like an orangish tone for a small portion of the underside, which seems so out of place. I don't know why they did that, but we also have a dark bluish tone for the underside of the feet, which is also kind of strange and random. Shocked that they actually sculpted the detail out the way they did on the underside of the feet, giving it like little pads and everything on the underside of the toes, but still interesting. As far as the articulation of the legs goes, you can see it can go forward and back, but it's very, very jerky. And we also have swivels here for the ankles. So you've got a bit of articulation on it, but not a whole lot. Of course, you're going to see the same thing outside of the scars and the blind eye look on this side. Through the course of the opposing side, the legs are pretty much in a neutral position. I'm not really seeing anything too different on this side compared to what we saw on the initial side. But it is a pretty cool figure. Definitely a nice little baby Allosaurus. And then, of course, the steak here, the meat that we have to give it, is fairly decently sculpted. You can see there is actually some texturing to it, and then it has like this white that sort of outlines the upper part to give it that sort of steak-like look. Same deal when you flip it over, and even the detailing on the side looks half decent, and it has kind of like a little bit of a shine to it on top of everything. So when it comes to our Allosaurus and the way that the action feature sort of works, what we're going to do is pull the leg back. Yep, as you can hear the noises already. So we'll pull the leg back. And you've got one heck of an Allosaurus roar. I love that, if you keep the leg pulled back, the roar lasts longer, but if you leave the leg go, it shortens the roar and turns into almost like a growl. So you can see, as soon as you release that roar, the noise basically starts to change a little bit. Like, that is so perfectly timed. That is a really cool action feature, actually. As a child, I would have absolutely gone nuts for that because of the fact that when you move it, it does actually roar exactly as the mouth opens and everything, exactly the time you would expect it to. That is super, super cool. If I were a child, I would, like I said, have gone crazy for that. And then, of course, we have the meat, so let's go ahead and feed it. Oops, lost it. So as you can hear, there were a whole bunch of chomping sounds. I didn't hear a burp, though. So let's just open the mouth. We'll go ahead and push that down. Ah, we have to let it out. it didn't do it that time. So there is definitely a nice little burp sound that our Allosaurus has going on. As far as the size goes, from the tail to the snout, about 7 3/4 inches or approaching 20 centimeters, but not quite there. And then for a height, about 7.5 inches, a little under 7.5 inches, or right around, but maybe a hair under 19 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Mega Roar Allosaurus, and you can see it's fairly decently sized, but not really massive. When it comes to these very cool exaggerated dinosaurs Mattel releases, it's, you know, fairly small, but at the same time kind of decently sized. Like, it's definitely not as large as the RCT Rex we had taken a look at recently, or the Spinosaurus we had taken a look at recently, but it's actually similar in size, I would think, to the Velociraptor that they had released like this. So to check that out, you can now very clearly see it is the exact same size pretty much as the Velociraptor they had released. I think that was Velociraptor Blue, not Beta. Pretty sure it was Blue. But you can see, if you do already have this figure, definitely the same size. So I don't feel like we really need any more comparisons past this point, as it's a reoccurring size range for these figures. But you can very clearly see they do look pretty cool together. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Chaos Theory Mega Roar Allosaurus is definitely another really fun figure. I am actually a pretty big fan of these exaggerated, kind of like, I guess you could say, childish type figures, because they're very clearly aimed more towards kids than adult collectors, but still very cool enough that adult collectors like myself can enjoy them. Like, sculpt-wise, they're very highly detailed. This Allosaurus looks great when it comes to the fine detail, and his general appearance is pretty fun. And honestly, I would say it's probably one of the more appealing looking Allosaurus figures Mattel has released recently. Something about their Allosaurus just has been so off lately, and this one doesn't look half bad. And one thing I think that saves this one is the way that the teeth look, and the way that they kind of decrease in size as they head closer back to the, you know, inside of the mouth. That looks a lot better than what they've been doing lately with the other Allosaurus, where the teeth kind of increase in size the further back into the mouth they go, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I think it just generally looks a lot nicer on this one than the others have. And the fact that we actually do have that blind, sort of injured eye look on this one is a massive plus. It's so cool to see Mattel finally give us an Allosaurus with that going on. On top of that, the paint apps of this one are pretty decent. You know, it, for the most part, has kind of a fully painted look to it. And, you know, it's only really missing a little tiny bit of paintwork out onto the tail and then the fingernails. Outside of that, I think the paintwork looks quite nice, except for that random orange tone on the underside, which seems to be like just so randomly placed and kind of stands out. If the Allosaurus had that in Chaos Theory, I didn't see it, but it's a little bit strange looking on this one. But the action feature as well is really cool. It works very nicely. The fact that you can control the roar is awesome, and the ability to feed it, of course, the meat and have it burp and stuff is just adorable. So again, something that kids will definitely enjoy, and it does have some fairly fun articulation on top of everything. So if you are interested in grabbing this, you can actually grab it in two places. One, it's in stock currently on Big Bad Toy Store, and it is also up for pre-order on Amazon. So I will include links to those two places in the description if you want to go ahead and grab this. So make sure you do that, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.